You're going to what? So all these talks will be available for you. We're going to put them online. So everything that you see here today, you can have access to. Okay? Okay, we're going to talk now about microcurrent. And microcurrent is similar to homeopathy. Microcurrent uses vibrations or frequency. And the feeling is in homeopathy that there's a certain frequency or vibration that matches with you. And if it's the right frequency or vibration, it'll cause harmony, help your body, support your body. So the musician in the room here, if you have a tuning fork, C sharp, and you vibrate it and you have a D, there's not going to be any harmony. But if you have two C sharp tuning forks, they're going to be in harmony. So one of the things we do in microcurrent is we deliver a frequency to kind of match the frequency of the tissue. So every tissue in the body has a unique frequency. Those of you that studied chemistry, and we did a test here called the oligoscan, where we use light to measure the frequency inside your cell, certain minerals and the composition. So just like two tuning forks can have a different frequency, there's different frequencies in tissues of your body depending on the carbon, oxygen, nitrogen bonding, depending on the hydration, depending on the density. All these things will give the tissue a unique frequency. So that's one mechanism of microcurrent, trying to match the frequency. The second is the low-level electrical energy that goes in. And this low-level electrical energy seems to stimulate cellular activity and also causes some physiological functions. There have been numerous studies showing that microcurrent improves circulation. So if it can improve circulation to your eye, that's going to be a good thing, right? It also stimulates cellular activity, because as we get older, the cells get older and they don't work as well. If we can stimulate to work. In fact, there was a research article published in the Journal of Orthopedic Research showing that microcurrent can stimulate cellular activity by as much as 500%. 500. I mean, if it did it 10%, that would be amazing. 500%. Now, you may be asking, well, why was this published in the Journal of Orthopedic Research? Well, when you break your bone, especially when you're older and you break your hip, it's tough to get that bone to heal. So orthopedic doctors are looking for mechanisms to get the bone to heal. And they discovered that microcurrent can do that, stimulate the bone to heal. Also, microcurrent has a neuroprotective effect. So what does that mean? It means that it protects the neurological tissue in your body from further damage. If you have glaucoma, it may protect it from further damage. Microcurrent also helps to detoxify the body. Microcurrent also can stimulate growth of stem cells, which is exciting because that's the way your body heals. You have stem cells, which are responsible for regeneration. If we can get them to working better, it's going to help your body to heal. So I became first interested in microcurrent. I was in my busy surgical practice treating a lot of macular degeneration patients. And Paul Harvey on his news came out and said that Sam Snead was cured of his macular degeneration. And it caught my attention. And he used a new treatment called microcurrent. I never heard of microcurrent. So I contacted the company and said, what's going on here? And I ordered 10 machines. I said, well, let me give it a try. Because I'm the type of person, I don't wait for the FDA to do a double-blind control study nationwide and tell me what to do. I'm kind of the old-fashioned doctor. I hear something that might work, I'll try it myself. So I got 10 machines, but I was a little nervous treating a patient. because, you know, the first part of the Hippocratic Oath is do no harm. So I can remember sitting in my office, having that microcurrent machine, and I said, let's try it on my eye and see what happens. So I looked across the room and checked my vision, put the microcurrent on my eyes, ran it, and yeah, maybe things were a little sharper, but at least I could still see. I was afraid. In fact, for a while there, I thought, front page of the local newspaper, prominent eye surgeon blinds himself with microcurrent. So it worked. So I called up 10 of my patients that I was treating. I said, I got this new therapy that may help you. There's no guarantee. And of course, we had an informed consent. It helped Sam Sneed. So I treated 10 people, and 7 out of 10 had an improvement of vision. So I said, by golly, this is going to be part of my practice. So I started treating my macular degeneration patients with that. And that was close to 20 years ago. And getting back to Sam Sneed, I had the pleasure of treating Sam when he was alive, under the supervision of his not his eye doctor, his internist. He was living in Florida at the time. He gave me golf lessons for a week, and I treated him for a week. And everybody always wants to know, well, what did Sam tell you about your golf game? He watched me hit a bucket of balls, another bucket looking at different angles. Oh, and meanwhile, Sam Sneed would charge, I think, $500 or $1,000 for a 30-minute lesson. So I got a real good deal, you know, having him coach me for a week. And he finally said to me after he watched me hit a couple of buckets, he says, Dr. Kondrot, here's what I want you to do. Just cut back for a year, then give it up. And so I listened to Sam. I cut back over the next year, and I haven't played golf since. And I'm a better person for it, those of you that play golf. So microcurrent is fascinating. There's been a lot of resistance with the medical profession on microcurrent. I mean, I guarantee you, if any of you go to your eye doctor and ask them about microcurrent, they're going to say, it's a sham, you're wasting your money, it doesn't work. If it worked, I would know about it. I don't know if any of you had that experience. But I found a group of eye doctors in Italy. There's a low vision society in Italy, and they're all using microcurrent with stem cells. So I met some colleagues that are really embracing microcurrent. And also, I came across another organization, a researcher, who wants to take microcurrent to the market. So I'll tell you a little bit later about that occurred, because I've been really trying to get microcurrent to be accepted by the medical profession. I mean, not to replace surgery or to replace injections, but just to be an adjunctive therapy to help folks that are going blind to use microcurrent. So we began doing microcurrent, and microcurrent is based on those unique frequencies I mentioned. So when we do a microcurrent treatment, we're sending many, many different frequency pairs into your body. And by a frequency pair, I mean one frequency represents the tissue. Let's say we're treating the retina. There's a frequency for the retina. Then we send a signal what we want to do with the retina. Do we want to reduce inflammation, stimulate cellular activity, and neuroprotective effect? So there's 2 frequency pairs. And I think this can best be explained. Anybody here a ham radio operator? No ham radio operators, rats. Because I'm a ham radio operator. I got my license. And I think it's a lost art. Because when you're a ham radio operator, you're not dependent on the power grid. You're not dependent on satellites. And the way, like if I wanted to, if I wanted to talk to you in Venezuela, you would have a call signal, a certain frequency. I would get on my ham radio operator, dial in that frequency, and we would connect with static. Then another frequency carries my voice. I would start talking to you. Buenos dias, ¿cómo está? And we would start carrying a conversation. So it's much like the microcurrent when we're treating a body. We connect with the tissue, and then we send the frequency what we want the tissue to do. And it's really fascinating now because there's a researcher, Howard Lionheart, who owns multiple different companies, who has actually isolated certain frequencies, or now they call them signals. In medicine, they don't like the idea of using the word frequency, but like electrical signal, which will cause a physiological function. And there are signals now that have been identified to stimulate stem cells, homing devices, reducing inflammation, changing cytokines. So there's all these signals now that have been patented. And you're going to be seeing this come to the market. In fact, there is a machine called the MyoStem, I believe, that's been FDA approved to treat cardiac irritability. So early on, we would have these different frequencies, but there was no way we could actually program a machine to run these frequencies. So let's say, Tim, you come to me and you have a problem, and with microcurrent, I'd come up with maybe 30 different frequency pairs. And microcurrent is a lot like homeopathy. You may ask me, well, what's the frequency for macular degeneration? Well, there is none. What's the frequency for a headache? There isn't a frequency for a headache. It's what's causing the headache. Is it a vascular spasm? Is it too much alcohol? Is it toxins? Is it, whatever. So we want to try to find out the underlying cause. So microcurrent can also be used as a diagnostic tool. Let's say I have pain in my leg. I don't have a frequency for pain in the leg, but I do have a frequency for cartilage, synovial fluid, the bone, the patella, tendons. So I would run a frequency for the tendon and maybe a frequency for inflammation. No change. But maybe I'd run it for synovial fluid and inflammation. My knee's better. So you can see that just like homeopathy, you need the right remedy. Microcurrent, you need the right frequency. So early on, when I was doing microcurrent, I was only treating dry macular degeneration. And the reason for that is I didn't want to get into areas that traditional medicine had a treatment. For wet macular, they were doing laser and injections. I felt safe only treating conditions where there was no treatment. But then I got bolder and I started to venture into wet and glaucoma. And I was kind of frustrated with glaucoma because early on we would actually run different frequency pairs. I'd have a patient, I'd run frequency pairs in, check the pressure, check the visual field, see if we're making any positive effect. And I wasn't getting anywhere because I was using traditional thinking. Okay, glaucoma, run a frequency for the aqueous, decrease production, run a frequency for, treating different parts of the eye. But when I started doing brain frequencies, that's when I started to get good results with glaucoma. And it's interesting, just recently in the ophthalmic literature, they are finding out that glaucoma is really a disease of the neurological system, not so much the eye. And I was running frequencies to balance the autonomic nervous system, and that was having the best effect. But anyway, we're running all these frequency pairs. So 20 years ago, I would have 5 technicians. I would write my prescription down, these different numbers, give it to the girl. She'd go in the room, and there's this big machine called the blue box. And she'd dial in the numbers, run it for 30 seconds, change it 30 seconds. Patients were getting good results, but we couldn't send them home with this big box. Although some people did buy, we called it the blue box, and that was like $16,000, but they bought it, and it was tedious. And I thought there had to be a way to develop a programmable machine. And I consulted some electrical engineers. They came in. I told them what I wanted to do. They wanted a $30,000, $40,000 retainer, and they were very pessimistic. They said, even if we can do it, the FDA's not going to approve it. They'd actually discourage me. And that's when I decided to sign up for my master's degree in electrical engineering at Arizona State. Started going to classes. And man, that stuff is so far over my head. We were talking, I thought, well, all based on Ohm's law. You know, Ohm's law, just switch things around. Doesn't work that way. But while I was there, I met some brilliant electrical engineers. And one guy I met, Ning Wu, I call him Ning Wow. Ning Wu is a third-generation electrical engineer. His father is a professor, chairman of Beijing University. So Ning, when he was a little kid, was doing circuits and all this kind of stuff. So Ning was like really fascinated that he could actually help, treat blindness. So he and I became good friends. He hung out in the office with me, and we were, looking at the machinery, running currents and circuits, and I told him what I needed. And in 6 months, he developed the first programmable machine. And that's the machine you have right now. But this is a different version. The versions have changed. The software's been upgraded. It's the first programmable machine. So the beauty of this machine is I can put in 30 to 40 different frequency pairs. They run automatically. And I can change them. I can program them, put them in the machine. It eliminates that big blue box, and it enables you to have the treatments at home. So I met with the FDA. I went down to Washington, D.C., sat in a room with the FDA, 20 people there asking questions. Forget it. Forget it. You don't want to get into trouble with the FDA. You can ask my wife that. It's not fun when somebody walks in the door, we're from the FDA. I mean, they don't have machine guns, but it's kind of scary. And they have come into the office before. So I thought they wanted me to do a controlled study. So I said to Ning, we have to do a controlled study. So Ning designed a microcurrent machine just like this. The lights came on and everything, but it was coded. Some of the machines were a sham machine, some worked. I wouldn't know, and the patients wouldn't know. Sounds like a pretty good study, right? And we had a code, so even the statistician wouldn't know. So we'd get the data, and I was recruiting 100 people, and I got a letter and a visit from the FDA, cease and desist. And I says, why? And they said, you can't do a study because it's not approved. Well, how can I get it approved? Well, you got to do an animal study. So, I'm not a major researcher, but I did get in touch with a brilliant Italian physiologist, Dr. Matteo, who wanted to do an animal study with me, and we were all set. I love working in Italy because Italians, they like to eat, and they like to talk. They don't like to work. We had meeting after meeting, dinner and wine, talking, getting excited, but the government, the Italian government, would not let us do an animal study because of animal rights activists. We had to sacrifice the rats. So I said to Matteo, let me do the treatments here in the US, and I'll ship the eyes to you, or I'll take the eyes in the suitcase, and you can do the electromicrographic studies, but it was just too difficult. I was going to disguise them in my suitcase and go into Europe. So that fell through. But I got a phone call from Howard Leonhardt, who was excited with my research, and he wanted to be part of a team called iCell. And we are looking to put the microcurrent technology to the market. He's a brilliant electrical engineer, has done it before. He believes in microcurrent. He's done the research. He has a laboratory at the University of Utah. I visited them. We're doing all the data. We're doing the research. And probably shortly, microcurrent is going to be approved for treatment of different pathologies. So you may be asking, how can we do microcurrent now if it's not approved? Well, it's approved for the treatment of pain and inflammation. So it's not approved for treating eye disease. So there's something that a physician can use a device under a physician's discretion. So even if it's not approved, that's why you have to be here. I can't really advertise microcurrent. I can talk about microcurrent in terms of education, but I can't advertise microcurrent as a cure or a treatment. So a couple of really important things to remember with microcurrent. One is, you may go on eBay and see a microcurrent machine for $70. And you may say, well, why do you have to buy your machine, Dr. Kondrot, for $2,000 when I can get one on eBay for $70? A couple important distinguishing factors. One, our machine it's a microcurrent machine, very, very low current. We deliver 40 microamps. A microamp is a millionth of an amp. That orthopedic article study that I showed you or told you about that showed this improvement of cellular activity, Chang, the researcher, found that if you get above 500 microamps, it actually decreased cellular activity. So you want to keep it below 500 microamps. Most of the machines you can buy on eBay are milliamps, which is 1,000 microamps. So the current is much too high. It can block nerve stimulation, but we want to cause regeneration, not blockage of the nerve. So that's the danger. So many people buy a machine, the current's too high, and it causes damage. The other thing about this machine, it is a current constant machine. There's a current adjust and a current constant. A current adjust is you as a patient can turn it up and turn it down. We program the machine for 40 microamps, and it's impossible for the current to get higher. Now, even though it's a low current, if I would hold the gloves, and this is the machine I travel with, if I would turn this machine on, and hold the gloves in my hand, I could get some burning and tingling. Why is that? Because a little computer we want to make the circuit 40 microamps. But if it's not getting a conduction, the voltage is getting higher and higher. We have an electrical engineer here, so he'll correct me if I'm wrong. So that's one of the reasons why we want you to be properly hydrated. We want the gloves to be wet. We want to reduce the resistance. The greater resistance, the more voltage you have to have. So analogy is if I have a garden hose and I want to have a gentle mist on my plants that I'm growing, and somebody steps on the garden hose, that's resistance. What do I have to do? I have to go to the faucet, turn up the voltage to get the light flow. So this machine is every millisecond, it's changing the voltage because in our body, our resistance is constantly changing. This machine can be used to treat more than one person. You know, the stress program, you hold the gloves in your hand, but if you and I were to hold hands and have the glove in our other, we can have two people do it. We did an experiment where we had, I think, 15 people were able to do a treatment. But it's requiring a lot more voltage, more power going through to make it run. So the analogy is if I have a 10-foot garden hose, I don't need much water pressure. But if I had a garden hose from here to Tampa International Airport, it would probably be impossible for me to push the water through there because the resistance is so high. So let me just go over some of the basics with the machine. This machine was designed for somebody with poor vision or to be able to use this in a dimly lit room. The numbers are elevated, so you can feel them with your finger. So number one, there's a start button right here in the middle. You push that, you see a light flash. When the light is flashing, that means it's in a standby mode. Nothing is being generated. We've had patients, believe it or not, turn it on like this, and they think they're getting a treatment done. They're not getting a treatment. You have to hit this button again to begin the treatments. So you're able to toggle it for the program you want to use. So if I want program number 4, it's toggled. Then when I hit it again, the start button, it stops blinking. It's steady, and this light comes on. This light is the percent completion. So as it travels across here, that tells you how much more time you have for the program. So if it's halfway, you're halfway done with the program. Now, this is very important. Don't say, I'm going to do half today and half tonight, because you have maybe 30, 40 different frequency pairs. If you only do half the program and shut it off and do half again, you're only doing the first half and not the second half. Follow the program through to completion. That's important. Now, because you can't feel anything, if I separate these gloves, you see these indicator lights. When these lights come on, that means the circuit is not complete. If I hold the gloves together, these lights come off. The circuit is complete. Now, we have a pause button. You hit the pause button, it'll stop the program, and this will flash rather quickly, and you can restart. And we have a stop button. So I have another video, a detailed video that goes over all this on YouTube, how to use the InspireStar machine, to go over all the details. This is just an overview, kind of an introduction to microcurrent with you. And the staff will go over details with you. And tonight you're going to have a homework assignment. You're going to take the microcurrent machine home, and you're going to do a treatment. Because I want you to get familiar with turning on the knobs, hitting the right button, turning it off and on. And we'll go over that with you, because it's important you know how to use the machine. There's a button or a bell that rings at the end of the program. We're able to silence that, because some of you may be doing an insomnia program at night. It's not a good idea to do an insomnia program and you get that when you're done, then you wake up. Then you got to run it again. So we can turn off the buzzer. But most people like the buzzer because they're resting and they want to know when they're done. We like you to do the microcurrent program at night. It's not mandatory to do it at night before you go to bed. There's a couple reasons for that. Most of the programs you can do during the day without compromising or causing any downtime. A lot of times I'll give a talk. I'll have this in my pocket, have one glove inside my underwear, the front and back, and I can be doing a stress program. Or I'm on the phone doing consults, or in the airplane, you can do a treatment. But when you're doing your eye treatment, that's when your eyes are closed. And you really can't do anything else. Maybe listen to the radio or, so. The way you do the eye program, and as we'll show you later, we put this in, maybe you'll get me some washcloths. I know some of you are into essential oils, and I love essential oils when you do the microcurrent. Because microcurrent can act as a carrier. By that I mean the frequencies can carry things into your eye. So ladies, if you have heavy makeup and mascara, it can be a problem because those toxins can be carried into your body. We've had some patients who have maybe laundered with a caustic laundry detergent and haven't rinsed the washcloth thoroughly, and they do a treatment and they end up getting an eczema or a rash. So I recommend using like a mild detergent, Dr. Bronner's, which is an organic. You can use that, rinse it thoroughly. So the washcloths are wet, and it's very simple. Fold it just like this. Over the eye, the other one, the back of your neck. We used to have electroconductive glasses, but they were very expensive and we have problems with them functioning. we have found that these are just simple to use, very versatile, and at the same time, those of you that are into essential oils, put a couple drops of frankincense in water, soak the washcloth, and this can act as a carrier with the frankincense going into your eye. So it can be a very, very, very helpful. And I do have a podcast. I interviewed Dr. Marcel Vega, who's a brilliant Puerto Rican doctor who's well-researched essential oils. And phenomenal. I mean, I learned so much from him that there's actually studies done that show that frankincense can repair DNA, increase the telomere length, anti-aging. So, Marcel Vega. But just go to Kondrot podcast and search under either essential oils or Vega, and you'll come up with that podcast. He's also going to be a speaker at the Vision event this year. And that's going to be a live stream event. All of you have tickets already. You can watch it in the comfort of your home. We're going to have some good speakers. Yes?
Which essential oil would you recommend for the eye?
Frankincense. Frankincense is the #1 oil. I'm not that knowledgeable with oils, but I love the frankincense. Frankincense. So I do have a YouTube going into more detail on how to use the machine, but I think the best way to learn is for you to, practice. So tonight you'll be doing your own treatment.
How do we find it in YouTube?
Yeah, go to YouTube or the staff can give you a link.
Okay.
What we'd like to do is come up with a workbook. So every day you have an insert. And of course, the staff's going to have to do a lot of work to put that together. Links and kind of summarize the talk. So you can have all that information. Because this is a lot of material. But everything that I'm going over is in my book, The 10 Essentials. And all of you will be getting a copy of the book. It's available as a free download. So all of it's there.
We are going to get it this time?
Yep. Mm-hmm. In fact, you can take as many as you want.
Paper. No, not all.
Paper, the real book. You can take 30 copies down to Venezuela if you want.
I may take a copy.
Take as many as you want, because I got a couple thousand here, but it's not doing me any good. Because it's my mission to let people know that there are effective alternative treatments.
This may or may not be relevant, but I just thought your research and success with this microcurrent is really verifying a lot of other things, because people in general doubt, they don't understand the fact that our bodies are electrical. So even kinesiology, as you obviously are well aware, but by using this machine, it just kind of verifies a whole lot of things that people out there have had doubt.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about electromagnetic fields. Our bodies are, you're right, our bodies are energy. If you could actually see my energy field, most of the field is radiated from the heart. And maybe a little bit less from the brain. But most of it's from the heart, the electromagnetic field. And unfortunately, we're getting a lot of interference with Wi-Fi and everything else that's going on. But I'm going to talk about that tomorrow in detail. In fact, I'm going to give you a demonstration that'll scare you, because I have an acoustometer that measures the electromagnetic field. I'm going to give a demonstration on a microwave oven, what it does. Also the harmful effects of light.
Is that what some people call the aura?
Yeah, the aura. But that may be a little bit different, because the aura in different theories, it's a finer and finer layer. So we have the etheric layer, the mental layer, emotional, we have different. But the electromagnetic is something we can actually measure. Years ago, I used to have a Kirlian machine in the office, so we could actually measure your electromagnetic field. And for a while, I was doing before and after Kirlian photography on everybody, measuring the changes with microcurrent. You have a question or no?
I met a lady in Switzerland that was a healer, and she used a Kegel machine to diagnose and treat.
Yeah, it's very accurate. You can look at a Kirlian photograph, and it's based on Chinese medicine and meridians. Each finger is a certain meridian, and you can actually measure the energy and find out specifically what organs are diseased or what emotional states are involved. So it's remarkable.
We'll go back to the machine. And I saw you did one when you put the one glove on your like below your stomach, one behind your back. Does that one actually do the stress part of your body?
Yeah, the question is about here and on your back for stress. Well, the solar plexus is here. So one of the best ways to treat stress is on the solar plexus. Another way is just simply holding the gloves in your hand. That goes through your whole body.
But at all times, you got to have that towel wrapped around those gloves all the time.
No, you don't need the towel. You can just simply hold the glove.
Okay.
But I like the towel for protection because these gloves are made, it's silver impregnated silk. Silk that's been impregnated with silver. And so with wear and tear, holding it, sweat, the gloves can be damaged or lose their effectiveness. So that's why we like to protect them with a washcloth, because the washcloth is simple. You can launder it, clean it. If you do have to clean the gloves, what I recommend is that you don't disconnect them. You just simply put them in a basin, agitate them with some like Dr. Bronner's soap, and rinse them thoroughly and let them dry. But don't undo these snaps over and over again because it'll lose its conductivity.
But you need the wet washcloth.
You need the wet. It's not going to work if it's dry. So this machine can go down to 20 microamps. And I talked with the engineer, Ning. I said, Ning, can we make some changes with the machine to get it lower, maybe 10 or 5? And he said we could, but it'll probably quadruple the cost of the machine. Because as you go to a lower and lower current, you need more delicate equipment, the wiring and everything has to change.
Can we do more than one treatment a day? I mean, for instance, one for the stress and one for the eyes?
The question is, can you do more than one treatment a day? Of course you can. I recommend that you only do the eye treatment once a day. And there's a reason for that. The retina seems to take 24 hours for recovery. So more than once a day is not going to benefit you. Those of you that lift weights, lifting weights twice a day or every day is not going to help you. Usually you have a good workout, you take a day off, and you work out again. So it may be too much. Now, in terms of stress and detox, you can do that more often. You can do the stress 5 times a day if you're under stress. Ideally on your abdomen, but you can do the stress just holding the gloves. This is one way of doing that. That's an effective way. Also, one of my favorite treatments is to do the microcurrent in a hot tub. I've done that where actually you don't put the machine in, but just the gloves are dangling in the hot tub. You don't have to hold them, and the energy is in the water. It's interesting, but it's very effective. When my wife and I did the Marine Corps Marathon, that's what we did. We did a microcurrent machine in the hot tub. And the power of microcurrent is amazing for musculoskeletal injuries. I mean, when I did the marathon, I was 62 years of age. I didn't train. I ran it because my son was doing his first marathon. I finished, but I was sore. I could barely walk. And when I was in my 30s, it would take me a week to recover. I could barely get out of bed. And one 30-minute microcurrent treatment took away all my pain. So microcurrent is amazing for inflammation, reducing inflammation. And that's one of the programs we're going to give you on number 5 is an inflammation program. When in doubt, use inflammation. Number 5.
Inflammation also, no? Not only an inflammation because of an injury, but the
Any.
state of
Because
inflammatory state.
any disease, the basis of any disease is inflammation. You get stomach indigestion, it's inflammation. You get a headache, inflammation.
Does it affect the acidity, base acidity balance?
It should, because you're adding electrons into your body. The electrons should make you more alkaline. But we haven't done any studies on that, but that would be an interesting study to measure the pH, before and after microcurrent, but you're adding electrons into your body. And some doctors feel that, there was a Dr. Nordenstrom in Norway who was treating cancer with microcurrent. He would go in with a needle right in the center of the tumor and deliver microcurrent, adding electrons, because he felt that the tumor was caused by acidity. Putting electrons in would change it to an alkaline state.
How did that work out? Did he have any?
He had some effect, positive effect.
So in general life, we should use it every day forever.
For your eye treatment, yes, I recommend you start out doing it every day, and then after a while, we could maybe do it twice a week or once a week. But it's kind of like anti-aging. You know, when a lady goes to the cosmetic counter and buys the wrinkle cream, and she goes to the clerk, how often am I going to have to use this? What's the clerk going to say? Oh, just use it a couple days, you don't need it anymore. No, right? Going to need it every day. Because unfortunately, our bodies are aging. So whatever process is going on, you have to continue to strengthen your body. But I do believe that once we identify some of the underlying causes, whether it's nutrition, detoxifying your body, improving oxygenation, you'll become less dependent on the microcurrent machine. But right now, it's a wonderful device to improve circulation. No question it improves circulation. Number 2, reduces inflammation. Stimulates cellular activity. Neuroprotective effect. My goodness. Those 4 things should be able to treat any eye problem. So the same eye doctor you talk to, hey doc, how about microcurrent for treating my eye? He's going to tell you, it doesn't work, you're wasting your money, it's a scam. If it worked, I would hear about it. Well, there's probably over 5,000 articles published already that showed that microcurrent worked, but he hasn't read any, including myself. I've had 3 peer-review articles published in major medical journals showing that microcurrent works. But if you go to that same eye doctor and, hey doc, if I could stimulate cellular activity in my eye, could it help me? You're going to say, yeah. If I could reduce inflammation, will it help me? Yeah. Well, microcurrent does all those things. So,
Which is the lifespan of the machine?
the lifespan of the machine, we've had machines out there that over 10 years old that are still working. The company is very good. The first year, any problems, we'll replace it. No questions asked, we'll replace it the first year. After that, we have loaners for you, and Ning Wu, the owner of the company, is really good on repairs. Typically a repair, $100, $200, to replace a button or something like that. There's no problem going through airport security with this. Every mission I go on, I take it all over the world, I have yet to be stopped. But if you go through security holding it like this, they will stop you. They'll stop you. They'll probably get on the phone and call somebody. Oh, Dr. Kondrot told me I need to do this. They don't care what I told you. But we put it in our carry-on bag, never stop, because which shows up on X-ray, 2 AA batteries. Oh, in terms of changing batteries, very easy. 2 AA batteries. You can use rechargeable batteries, lithium, Duracell, any type of battery. Typically, the battery life is maybe 40 to 60 hours. And that depends on your hydration. If you're dehydrated, it needs a lot more voltage, and the battery may only last a couple of days.
How do you know if it is discharged?
There's a little light, low battery light that lights up, low battery. So if you call me up and say, Dr. Kondrot, something's wrong with my machine, I got to change the battery every couple of days. I know immediately what's wrong with you. I'm going to say, Agus, how much water are you drinking? Because I know you're dehydrated. Because they need a lot more voltage. You need to drink more water.
Water, not whiskey.
Whiskey's not going to work. If you discover something, let me know. I had to stop drinking because now that I'm doing a lot of missionary work, I can't afford to get a tremor. So I'm like you. I'd like a glass of wine every night, so no more wine, nothing. Because
Need for operation, no?
yeah. But right now I'm 70 and my hands are as steady as can be. And I'm able to operate. So I want to operate as long as I can, maybe another 5 years. I'm hoping when I'm 80, I'm still able to operate. But if I start getting a tremor,
Excuse me, doctor, when you mention your missions, you belong to an organization that send you a mission? Or?
we belong to a couple organizations. One is called the Hawaiian Eye Foundation. Another is Sea International. And the last day, we're going to show you some videos about all our mission work. And we will go anywhere that's needed. We need 2 requirements. One requirement is we need a letter of invitation from the Minister of Health. Second, we need a sponsoring eye doctor. So when we go to Liberia, the Minister of Health invites us, and a local ophthalmologist sponsors us, and I work with them. And there's 2 reasons why we need a local ophthalmologist. One is we don't want to go in and compete with the local eye doctor. You know, he has to make a living, and if I come in and I'm doing free surgery, I'm taking business away from him. The second is that we need somebody to do follow-ups. You know, complications are rare, but if there's a pressure problem, we need an eye doctor to see him. So my wife and I have been doing missions for the last couple of years. Sometimes we go twice a month. We've been everywhere. In fact, probably all of our income now goes towards mission. So the money you pay for this program is going to mission work after our bills are paid. I'm trying to get the staff to work for free, but but 100% of our vitamin products, 100% of that off the top goes to mission. But the fee for the program here, we pay our overhead. And we're self-funded, so when I go to Liberia, I don't get paid. My airfare isn't paid. It has to come out of my pocket. So most of it's based on revenue we generate here and also donations. We have some very generous patients who have donated money for us. And we do have a 501c3, which means that at the end of the year, when you owe Uncle Sam a couple $1,000s, everyone's permitted to give a certain percentage to a nonprofit. So think of us. It'll come right off the top of your income tax, so it's not like extra money. You can donate it. And 100% of it goes to mission work. We're not like some foundations where administrative fees and 20 cents on the dollar actually goes to the people. 100% goes to the mission. And also, if any of you want to join us on a mission, we always need support in terms of helping patients, triage, praying for patients, helping them in the operating room. So our mission page is Mission to cure blindness, all one word. Mission to cure blindness. And we keep a track of all the places that we go to. But tomorrow, or maybe later today, we can play some of our mission videos for you.
Is that
.com. Mission2cureblindness.com. A funny story, my 16-year-old niece, brilliant, who's into dance and, art, and she's a senior and she really didn't know what to do. And so she joined us on a mission to Haiti. And now she wants to be an eye surgeon like Uncle Ed. Changed her life. And for her senior project, they had to do like a presentation. She presented cataract surgery. She had a clay model. I'll show you the video. Here I thought she wasn't paying attention to me, but she has the instruments and this, cleaning the eye and removing the cataract, and she got first prize in her high school for that. So.
Do you do surgical work here in Lakeland, in the area?
No, I do no surgery in the United States. You know why? There's too many eye doctors fighting over the few cataracts that are here. There's so many good eye doctors here. And to me, I really want to go somewhere where it's needed. When I go to a mission, there's people who walk 3 and 4 days to see me. I have 1,000 people that show up that are blind, and I only have supplies for 200 people. So it's very rewarding work. Here in the U.S., somebody comes in for cataract surgery. They get good results at the end of surgery, but they're looking at the eye chart. Well, I can see the bottom line, but there's some ghosting or it's blurring. Can you make it better? But on the mission, they're totally blind. They can't see anything. You give them light, they can function, they're happy.
Do you teach? Have seminary for
Yeah, we teach doctors. I'm involved with teaching. So if a doctor is interested in missionary work, they have to learn a new technique. So we teach doctors how to do the mission surgery.
But out of the mission organization, do you teach because you use a lot of therapies that the normal, ordinary ophthalmologists don't know and don't use?
Oh yeah, I taught in Italy. I gave a course on microcurrent in Italy, and I'm going back. So some eye organizations. In fact, I'm going to Colombia. The Colombia National Ophthalmology Society meeting next year in August. I'm going to be speaking on alternative treatments. So I'm kind of excited about that. Okay, so now we're going to finish up. I think I have 2 more homeopathic. Tomorrow we're going to talk about light therapy, electromagnetic energy, dirty electricity, so that's going to be very interesting.